I want to introduce my new friend, Andy O'Brien. And Andy is an executive business coach, and I've just had the privilege of getting to know him, and I know he's got a lot of energy, and he's only had one cup of coffee, not even a full cup of coffee yet. But he is with ActionCOACH. It's the world's #1 business coaching and executive coaching firm. He's going to tell you a little bit more about experience, but I know that he will get you up and moving today. So welcome, Andy.
Thank you, Star. All right, so first thing is I saw you all come in, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to grab your stuff, and I want you to find somebody else to sit by right now. It's like church. You guys all went in and sat by somebody you knew. Go find somebody else to sit by. All right, chop, chop. Let's go. Come on, find a chair. All right, are we finding a chair? Oh, come on, you can do it. You can do it. Come on, quickly. Let's move, let's move, let's move. Oh, now they're diving for chairs. Well, welcome, everybody. So finish this sentence for me. Life is like a box of chocolates. Eat all of it. So who said that? No, I meant whose quote is that? Forrest Gump's mother. There we have it. So do you guys believe that life is just, on a song and a prayer? What's that? We got a comedian up front. I love it. Well, today I have some rules of the game. Yes, my name is Andy O'Brien. I am an executive coach. I work with the John Maxwell team, ActionCOACH, and I also work with Jeffrey Gittimer. And I have rules. So I saw most of you were reading my sign when we came in. So the first rule is this. Who has their cell phone on them? Take it out, turn it to stun. If it rings, you will pay Jeff $10 today. Oh, you think that's a joke? I promise I'll get $10 out of one of you. So turn it to stun. It's out of respect for everybody else. Sometimes we forget, but I like to make sure that we have rules of the game. So I live in Mason City. I have a beautiful family. To get to know me a little bit better about how I got here, I spent 16 years traveling the whole upper Midwest. I was a consultant and a manufacturer sales rep. I missed everything that my kids did. My wife was gracious enough. She raised our kids and she kept me. We are blessed with our kids living in and around us, but in the corporate world, I learned a lot of things. We travel, we see things, we do this training everywhere else, but we didn't do it here. So the company that I was with became insolvent, to say the least, and I needed something to do that wasn't traveling. And so what I did is I took my skills and expertise and I brought them back to Mason City, and I started a coaching business, an executive coaching. I help successful people like you with leadership performance, one, and business growth. And that can be defined in many different ways. So my kids, my son Tanner and his wife Kari have a beautiful son. He's 18 months old. It's Braden. They live in Mason City. He works for Senate Credit Union. My daughter is 22. I tell you what, this kid is resilient. She went to a technical school and became a dental assistant. She works full-time with Dr. Demeraux, got married last October, and she's buying her second house at 22. So we're very blessed. My wife is the CEO of the United Way in Mason City, and I want you guys to know she is the boss of me. There's no question about that. So let's talk about rules here for a second. So how many of you guys have ever heard about the line of decision? Anybody ever hear the line of decision? So who do you know that blames everybody for their problems, makes excuses why things happen, and deny that they had anything to do with it? Who do you know? Know somebody like that? I see you all shaking your head. My question is it you? So today and moving forward, we're going to talk about team, but what I'm asking you guys is to be above the line. Ownership, accountability, and responsibility. If you're above the line, you're a winner. If you're below the line, you're a whiner. And so we have to look at it like that. Second thing that we want to do is participation. You guys, this is a very, very small room. I don't know all your names, but I can point fingers. And just so you know, if you make eye contact with me and do this, You become a target. So I will find you and I will call on you. So we want some participation because, tell you what, none of these workshops work. None of them work unless you take something from today and use it. Does that make sense to everybody? So can I get a show of hands? How many of you guys are going to take one thing from today and use it? Excellent. So we put paper and pens on the table. Here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to write down what is it you want to gain from today. Just one sentence. What is it you want to gain from today? All righty. Who would like to share what they want to gain from today? Oh, don't everybody jump up at once. Yes, sir. Excellent. We'll get to that at the very end if that's okay. What else would you guys like to learn about today? Yes. Improve leadership. Great. One more. To serve better. Love it. And we're going to go through that today. So there's one thing that I wrote over here. How many of you guys have ever used this term, I know? Let me rephrase that. Would everybody please raise your hands? Everyone in this room has said, I know at one time or another. When we talk about leadership today, we're talking about it's not whether you know or you don't know. It's how good are you at it. So what I want to do today is I want to get rid of this. Get rid of it. Get rid of the I know. And are you using it every day? Fourthly, we're going to have some fun today. I promise you I'm going to do something stupid up here, and you guys are going to laugh at me because it just happens. So with that, let's get some things going really quickly here. So how many of you guys consider yourself a leader? All right, love it, love it. So those of you that didn't raise your hand, why not? Anybody? Come on, don't be shy. You can speak. Nobody here is going to point at you, other than me, of course. All right, so let's talk about some things, about team. When I do a team workshop for any organization, whether it's 2 people or an entire group, team stands for together, everyone achieves more. Do you guys believe that? So the question is which part of this are you? How do you fit into this? And what is it you want out of your team, out of yourself? So I want you guys to write this question down. Did I do my best today? Did I do my best today? You guys thought you were going to get it come in here, just sit around, be bored, get me out of here as quick as you could, get back to work, didn't you? Didn't realize it was homework day, did you? So, why did I ask that question of you? Did I do my best today? Self-evaluation. Why? Exactly. How many of you guys go home at night at the end of the day and go, okay, did I do my best today? I do. I ask that question of myself every day. I ask that question every time I step into a room. What is it I want to accomplish from this meeting? What is it I want to accomplish with this person? The first question I asked you guys today is, what is it you want out of today? And had you write it down. Because in all workshops, in all ways of life, I'm not going to tell you anything you've never heard before, but what I am going to do is ask you to take it and use it tomorrow. Use it an hour from now. Use it for later today. Because if you can't use it, this was a waste of your time, right? Make sense? So when I talk in team terms, I always talk about keys. And you guys have been doing a ton of work on leadership. Anybody here tired of hearing the word leadership? Are you being a leader? Come on, guys, fess up. It's okay. It's hard. John Maxwell always says, I want a transformed leader to lead a transformational movement across nations. Leadership is about you. And we're going to talk about the different levels of leadership and what it takes to build a really strong team in your organization. And how does it encompass the people around you? So the first key that I always talk about, strong leadership. That's the first key, strong leadership. So what do you guys, what is it? What is strong leadership? Let's take some people. Tiffany, what's strong leadership mean to you? And if I know you, you're dead meat. No. Great communicator. So what is your definition of communication? Lets people know what's going on. There's no wrong answer here. This isn't like school. What else could a great leader be, or strong leadership be? Sacrifice. So extra time, extra effort. Love it. What else? Trustworthy. Great. What else? Approachable. Lead by example. Do as I say, not as I do. Does that work? No. Okay, just checking. What else? What else does leadership mean to you guys? Decision making. Are decisions always easy? Jeff, are decisions always easy? Always? Yeah, good. What else could it be? Helping others. These are all great answers. What else? Over on this side of the room. You guys are pretty quiet over here. Motivator. Love it. What else? Good listener. Great. What else? Come on, you guys can do it. Oh, there it is. Personal development, constantly learning. I saw a hand in the back row. You had your hand up? You did? Don't want to answer anymore? All right, you, sir. Contagious attitude. Guys, strong leadership is all these things. So, is leadership by position, power, or stature? Absolutely not. So when I talk about leadership, these are my 5 levels of leadership, and I'll give you guys a moment to look at them and write them down. But there's some things that I want to get really clear on here. The first level of leadership is the lowest level of leadership, and I'll get out of the way for all of you. It's position. And I brought a little cheat sheet so I make sure I got the right things. But when we talk about the 5 levels of leadership, position is this. Never a leader at this level, only a boss. Only a boss. And that gives you rights to boss people around. So when we do that, we have to look at it as, are we telling them what to do? Are we asking them what to do? Are we talking them through so they know what to do? So let's talk about the second level of leadership. Permission. Permission. I'm getting permission from you to be able to speak here today. But your people are getting permission from you to be able to follow you. And they are following you because they want to. They want to. They're not forced to. They have made a conscious effort to do something in the benefit of everybody. Does that make sense to you guys? Number 3, production. Now this one is all about results. Production is people follow again because they want to. And in this area, you gain influence and credibility because what you're doing with your people is getting results. Getting results. That's the key. Getting results. Number 4, people development. How many of you guys are in the people development business? Yeah, let's try that one again. Everybody raise your hand. You are all in people development business. We are here because you guys have people around you every day, right? So let's talk about that for a second. How many people do you guys influence every day? Speak up, please. Everyone you see. Is it positive or negative? It's a crapshoot, isn't it? Some days you're positive, some days like rolling dice. Oh, dang, snake eyes. But we have to look at it. How many of you guys have ever gotten up or ever gotten to work and had something bad happen? How many of you guys carried that around as an excuse all day to make everybody else's life miserable? Raise your hands. This is not people development. This is blame, excuses, and denial. I say that because so many of us have bad moments. How many people in this room have ever failed? Awesome. Failure is an event. It is not you. It's just something that happens, and you know what? Usually from failure, we gain the ability to learn from it. In people development, that's the biggest lesson you need to learn. We talk about people development. When you give somebody instructions, do you anticipate that they might do it wrong, or do you anticipate that they're going to do it right? Depends. What does it depend on? Their attitude. Okay. Good to know. But if your attitude's good, do you know that you can change that and persuade them? Exactly. How many of you guys have ever had a great idea and you're so gung-ho and you know it's the right decision and you give it to somebody and they push back? Part of the law of navigation with people development is you have to allow people time to adapt. You have to allow people time to take that information and internalize it. You can't just walk up and go, hey, guess what? You're going to do this and you're going to like it. And then wonder why they're all pushing back. We have to look at the law of navigation and say, oh my gosh, okay, this is a great plan. I've been planning it for weeks and months and all these things are going on. And now I need you to buy in, so I need you to think about it for a couple of days. We're still going to do it, but I need you to think about all the positive things that can happen. Because in people development, this area of reproduction is we have to give them the time to think of solutions. How many of you guys have ever had a great idea and you thought it was the world's greatest idea and everybody piled on and said it was the wrong thing and they gave you 35 things that were wrong with your idea? Isn't that fun? That's how our human brain works. That's how we are cultured. So let's talk about this for a second with people development. So I'm going to give some rules here. I'm going to have you all stand up. But before you stand up, here are the rules. If I ask you a question and you do it, you sit down. Deal? All right. Everybody stand up, please. Oh, I love it. All right. Everybody up here. We didn't have to talk. All right. So tell me this. Are you a positive person? So good. That's what I want to know. No, stay up. That's not the real question. That's the timeout. They follow directions up here. This is awesome. Okay, so if you do the next questions that I ask, then I want you to sit down. Got it? Okay, excellent. Everybody's getting me in all this. I love it. Definitions. I love this group. I love it. You're paying attention. So let me ask you this. Who here reads the newspaper and the front page first? Sit. How many people in this room complain about the weather? How many people here complain about work at home? How many people complain about home at work? How many people here complain because they don't make enough money? All right, I love it. All right, sir. So tell me, you guys can sit down. So tell me, how is it you avoid doing all of those things everybody else does? I have no idea. Well, you know what I love about that is is that's a conscious choice. So for you, sir, I'm going to give you a book. It's called A Yes Attitude. What I want you to do is I want you to read it, and I want you to pass it to somebody else. We talk about conscious choices. People development is your ability to overcome the obstacles in front of you. Nobody in the world gets up every day and goes, guess what? I'm going to make your life miserable. If one of you guys do, you're in the wrong business. You're in the people business. But nobody gets up like that. But we allow small things that happen, things that don't go quite right. Or we read the paper, or we listen to the news, or we watch the TV, and if it bleeds, it leads. Quick story about people development. 2009, I was a different person. I went from being happy-go-lucky like this to a very negative person. I was listening to talk radio. I was watching news every night, CNN, Fox, KIMT, you name it, I watched it all. I was traveling all over the place. I was a jerk. That's not the word my wife used, but that's close enough. But all I did is talk about how everybody was doing everything wrong, and I wasn't part of the solution. That book was sent to me. Having a yes attitude, it was sent to me. And the reason it's such a good book, and it talks about people development, and I looked at Star's office, she has thousands of books, or hundreds of books? Hundreds of books in her office. What are we doing to help people around us? When people are negative, I wouldn't change until somebody sent me the book. That book sat on my nightstand. Oh, somebody sent me a book. That's really cool. It sat there for weeks. Until one day I finally picked it up and go, well, what does that mean to me? People development is reproduction of you. If you're a 5 on the list of 1 to 10 with attitude, you can't expect anybody that's around you to be a 6. It will never happen. Ever, ever, ever. You have to be above reproach. You have to do the things that you need to do. That means you have to get up in the morning, and you leaders that are here and new leaders and people that are wanting to do that, you have to make a conscious choice that no matter what she does to me, it's not going to affect what I do to you. Does that make sense? Because that's the hardest part about reproduction, is doing the things that need to be done. And as Jeff said, decisions are always easy. They're not. They're very difficult. You're not always going to be the most favorite. And when you reproduce people, you're not always going to be their friend. Because you can't be, because you have to look at bigger things. Does that make sense? Let's talk about level number 5. The pinnacle. The pinnacle. Oh my God, respect. Undying respect. So let's talk about this. How many of you guys have a teacher in your history that you could think of right now? Give me their name. Who was your favorite teacher? Excellent. Why? Why would you say? I heard you say a name. You didn't? Who said one up here? Who was that? Dr. Lee. Why? Positive attitude. Always building you up. So what grade was that teacher in? Oh, that was college. Okay, so were there anybody in your class that just dinked around? Not usually. He was pretty, but so you have respect. So let's talk about that for a second. The pinnacle. He was leading people. That's why I always go back to when you were in grade school or middle school or college. Those people that stick in your mind that drove you to be better. That's pinnacle. They didn't ask for it. They just became it. Does that make sense to everybody here? This is the hardest level to get to because this is where it takes the most work. Because you have to keep building people up. You have to keep helping them grow. And you have to stand behind them and allow them to do the things. So we have to continually look at this level and say, so right now, on your papers, here's what I want you to do. Where are you? Level 1 to 5 on strong leadership. And it's your story, you get to tell it. And please be honest with yourself. Excellent. So I just want to see a show of hands. How many put themselves at a 5? Okay, how many put themselves at a 4? Excellent. How many people put themselves at a 3? Love it. How about a 2? And how about at a 1? Love it. You guys are exactly where you need to be. And think about it like this. There's plenty of room to grow. So earlier I said life is like a box of chocolate. I totally disagree with that conversation. My statement is this: life is like a jar of jalapenos. The decisions I make today can bite me in the butt tomorrow. And that is the truest statement ever, because we live in the reality of what today is. How many of you guys have ever said anything that you regretted right after it came out of your mouth? Amen. Let's all pat ourselves on the back. We've all done it. Let's see if we can try to avoid that. It happens to all of us. But remember, the second key is this: it's a common goal. Common goal. The hardest thing about having a winning team is we have to bring everybody together. Part of the reason we're here today is because Jeff and his team want leadership for you, want more for you, want you guys to grow, want you guys to be able to take something from today and use it tomorrow to help you with each other. So when I talk about common goals, how many of you guys are all of you guys on different teams, different areas of the building? Oh, perfect. So when you guys go back to those areas, what is the common goal for your business? What is the common goal for your area of the business? Do you know it? Is it written down? This is where we all kind of go silent, like, what do you mean write things down? We have to write them down. We have to make them visible. How many of you guys have ever had something that you know needs to be done and you've told everybody it needs to be done and then nobody does it? Why do you think that is? Oh, we're talking about kids now. Great, awesome. It is that way. We go, common goal, it's not written down. Nobody takes ownership of it, so nobody does it. Or the other end happens is we do a task without writing it down, and then we're destined to do it over and over and over again because nobody else will. In your teams or in your areas of expertise, you guys have to have common goals, and you have to break them down into small increments. The hardest thing about what we try to do is we put this big goal on the wall, and we don't have a roadmap to get there. We don't make goals for now. We don't make goals for today. We don't build ourselves any type of a plan to get ourselves to that common goal. But we put it on the wall because it looks good. And we preach it, and we talk about it, and we execute it like there's no tomorrow. But we don't give others around us a way to do it. So that makes it very difficult on our team members because it's like, I can't read minds. Or we tell them to do something, but we don't ask them how they're going to get it done. So part of today is about this common goal and coaching each other. So tell me, what are some questions, and I'll take some volunteers here. What are some questions you could ask of one of your teammates to make sure they understand the common goal? I can start singing the Jeopardy song. Please repeat. Tell them to repeat it back to you. Great question. How would you phrase that to somebody? Love it, love it. What else can you do? What other questions would you ask them? Do you have any questions? That's kind of a passive question right there. Do you have any question is one of the most passive questions. It's like asking, how are you? And that's not the wrong answer, but what words could you add to that to make it more of a direct question? Did you guys hear her? Repeat that, please.
Do you have any questions on how to make this successful?
Love it. Do you specifically have any questions to make this successful? Many times as a team builder and a leader, we want to ask the passive questions because how many people in this room like conflict? Really? Nobody? Come on. I live in that world, so it's always asking direct questions. Nobody does. There's not a person usually in the world that likes conflict. Kind of causes your hair on the back of your neck to stand up, causes you to sweat profusely because we're having all these secondary conversations in our head. Well, if they say this, I'll say this. And if they do this, I'll do that. And all of a sudden, you're all amped up and no question's been asked. We have to be deliberate and intentional in everything that we do. So, right now, I want you guys to write something down. I want you to write down a question that you can ask of somebody about the common goal in your department. Maybe it's what is the common goal? Maybe the question is how do I get to the common goal? Maybe a better question is What can I do today to help reach that common goal? Love it. You kind of be my key here as I watch the pens go down. So if you're done, that's awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much. How many of you guys really thought you were going to have this much homework? Nobody ever does. All right, so let's talk about rule number 3. When you guys came in here today, what were my rules of the game? Phones, big one. And actually, I would have put, but I didn't think it was fair. If you guys, those of you that were late, you were very fortunate. Usually I send an email out and say, if you're late, it's $10 too. So that would be my second rule. What else was on the board that I talked about rules of the game? Participation, love it. What else? Fun, what else? The line of decision. And my favorite, I know. I know. How many of you guys have kids? How many of you guys are kids? How many of your kids have ever said I know to you? What does that do to your skin? I keep bringing it back to you guys because I promise you today when somebody says I know, one of you guys are going to be like, and how good are you at it? Going to get all hipped up and attitude. It's going to be quite funny. So let's talk about rules of the game. And I use the term non-negotiable. So, who is the most important people in this building? The people we serve. Let me ask this again. So, if you and that person were on a desert island and there was one piece of food, who gets the food? They do? Great. So, if there's one island, there's one bottle of water, they get the bottle of water too? All right, so we're going to try this one again. You guys are really caring people. See, we have a split decision here. All right, we're going to have an argument. You'd share it. Here's the thing. Rules of the game are all about you. Rules of the game are all about you. What are you going to do? So I talk about non-negotiables. The reason I have non-negotiables with the phone, it's not about me. I could care less about the phone ringing. But what bothers me is that everybody else in the room starts paying attention to the phone rather than what we're doing. It's respect. Having fun is about you, me and you, because I like to have fun. I use humor. I think I'm the funniest guy around. My wife's not here to correct me, so I am. But you look at it as rules of the game in your business have to be about you first. What are you willing, and how high are you going to hold yourself? So let's talk about some rules of the game for your business right here. Tell me, what are some rules of the game that you have here every day? None? You guys are free to do whatever you want? Okay, excellent. Not willing to ask anybody to do anything you're not willing to do. So you and I could do toilets together. Perfect. I love it. What else are rules of the game? Say that one more time. Big one right there. Confidentiality. What else? Be dependable on time. Love it. What else? Flexibility. Define flexibility. Okay, love it, love it. What else is rules of the game? Pardon? Act appropriately. Okay, I'm going to ask, what's appropriately? But let's even be more specific than that. Setting a good example. How did he get brought into it? No. So he's it. Everybody else is off base, so it's just Jeff. Wow, that's a big stick. So what else? What else are non-negotiables? Respect of everybody, self and others. What's the golden rule your mother used to tell you? Exactly. What's the other one? If you haven't got anything nice to say, Part of rules of the game is learning how to speak to others. It is not easy. It is very difficult because the reactionary part of our brain, how many of you guys, when you have a difference of opinion with somebody, just like shut down? Like, I don't want to talk about it, I'm done. Anybody in this room? How many of you guys can remain absolutely calm during a moment of crisis? Love it. Part of the rules of the game are having control of you, having control of your mouth and the filter that goes to the brain, or vice versa in most cases. But we have to learn from each other. We have to be able to take information in and say, okay, what are our rules of the game? Part of teamwork is developing rules of the game for your department. Part of rules of the game are, here's what we're going to do. Maybe it's a huddle before everybody leaves at the end of the day. Maybe it's making sure that everybody has the same notes. Maybe it's as simple as, hey, every day I'm going to make it be intentional and go around and talk to somebody for 5 minutes. We have to decide the rules of the game for everybody. Because it's very critical. If we don't have them broken down into the smallest increments, we will never be able to do the big things. Like, I mean, this is pretty funny, but how many of you guys have ever said, well, we're supposed to be at work at 8:30 or 8 or 6 a.m. and somebody's always late? They should just know to be on time. The common courtesy is, how many of you guys have ever been late for work? We all have. It happens. But how many of you guys made a conscious effort to call somebody and say, hey, I'm stuck by a train. Hey, I had this. Hey, I had that. That's a rule of the game. That's common courtesy. So many times we forget the small things because we're so focused on ourselves and the big thing. Does that make sense? Awesome. Let's go to my fun one right here. Action plan. Remember we talked about it a little bit on the goal? So you guys have been redeveloping teams, is that correct? And leaders, is that correct? How many of you guys have been just scared to death about the future here? Just about where do you fit? How does it work? Come on, raise them high. It's okay. All of us live in fear. All of us live in fear. And the hardest thing about fear is this, is we tell ourselves stories because we're of the culture now. We want to know the answer before it's there. Having an action plan, how many, can you read this for me right up here? Voluntold. I coined that phrase when my wife put on RAGBRAI in Mason City because I didn't have a choice. She told me I was volunteering and I did. So, volunteers are one thing, you stand up, but voluntold is also about what is our plan? How are we going to get there? How many of you guys have ever had a perfect plan for your life as it sits today? How many of you guys are doing what you thought you were going to do when you were in high school? How many of you guys are doing what you thought you were going to do in college? Awesome. What I got? 1, 2? Remember what we talked about choices a few minutes ago? We've all made choices. The easiest part about an action plan is this. We have to do something. So, as you guys are looking at, I'm going to go back here I get my little marker over here. I call it the formula for change. When we have an action plan, so we have D times V plus F is greater than R. Has anybody ever seen that before? Has anybody ever seen this? Okay, so for 1 second here, when you guys started your job here, did you guys have a vision of what you wanted it to look like? Or did you guys just come here and got a job because you needed a job? Had a vision? Tiff had a vision? Or just got a job? Just got a job? Okay, now you have a vision? So do you guys trust? I don't think anybody can be fired for what they say today, but don't hold me to that. So how many of you guys believe that the people that run this organization have a vision for this organization? Okay, raise them high. I can't read this. There we go. How many of you guys trust that this will be the right decision? This part of it right here, for ourselves and for other, is the most uncontrollable factor in here. So, tell me this. How many of you guys have had dissatisfaction of the vision of where we're going? Nobody? You guys all went willing like sheep. Let's go. Come on. Oh, I killed the microphone. So, nobody had dissatisfaction? That's okay. How many of you guys have had some resistance? I see some hands. The formula for change is dissatisfaction times vision plus first step has to be greater than the resistance. The action plan is right here. First steps. First steps. You have to make a conscious choice to move in that direction. So when we talk about action plans and first steps, we have to do something. Do something. Do something different today than we did yesterday. Do something different tomorrow that you did the day before, but do something. This is the hardest thing that all of us do right here. We freeze. We freeze. Well, if I don't know and I'm not going to do anything, I'm just going to stand here and wait till somebody tells me what to do. Anybody ever fall into that category? Wrong answer. Do something. Action plans in all of your areas need to be consistent. They need to be who does what, who does when, how does this affect the people around us. Having an action plan is one of the most critical parts of this Keys to a Winning Team, because guess what? Nobody can read your mind. And as a leader, again, if you have a plan, you need to give them time to adapt to it. You need to plan for problems. You need to expect the worst so that you can have the best things happen. Many times we go in and we say, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and go. Because we're a leader, we're a boss. And I said so, right? So we need to keep that in mind as we work forward. Let me get back to our page there. So here's what I would like. I need 10 volunteers. Got one in the back. Come on up. If you're a volunteer, come see me. Because if we have to go to the voluntold factor of it, I'll just start picking people. Come on. We got 9 more. Let's go. All right, we got 2. Pink is the color today. High five. Look at this. All right, there's another color. There we go. All right. More pink. There we go. Awesome. Sorry, Michael. There we go. All right. All right, so here's what we're going to do today. We need one more. Who? Come on. Anybody in pink? All right, yay. Peer pressure. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to have you guys all work together. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to form a circle right up front here. All form a circle. All right, so here's what I want you guys to do. Pink ball, it's my favorite color. Don't judge. Don't judge. Pink's my favorite color. Here's what I want you to do. I'm going to give this to you, and your name is? Christina, awesome. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to pass it around, and I want you to make a pattern. And the rules are you need to remember the pattern. All right? You guys want to take 5 minutes and converse and talk about it? All right, go. We'll let them talk about it, see how they're going to do. All right, you guys ready? You can't start without that. Okay, so here's the deal. Hang on a second. I didn't say start. Listening, people. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. We're going to start, and would you do me a favor and drop that ball? Okay, she's got it out of the way. The rules are you can't drop the ball. If you drop the ball, you have to start over. Everybody understand that? Can I pick it back up? Yes, you can pick it back up. Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to make a pattern as fast as you can. Excellent. Well, only one circle. That's good. No, just one. So, Michael, will you give her the ball back, please? These are overachievers. All right, so here's what I want you to do. That was 9 seconds. Okay, it went around in 9 seconds for 10 people. How can you do that faster? Here's what I want you to do. I want you guys to converse about it, talk about it. Everybody has to touch it.
Same pattern?
Same pattern. Yeah, awesome. All right, that was 4 seconds. So, what'd you guys think? We're going to debrief. What, pretty fast? 4 seconds? Okay, so, great. I was just going to ask you, can you do it faster than that? All right, excellent. All right, converse. Tell me when you're ready to go.
Okay, I'm ready.
Go. 3 seconds. So, twice? Oh, okay, so, is there a better way to do it? Talk about it. Is there a better way to do it? So, is there a better way to do it?
Yep.
Is there a better way to do it?
Yep, sure is.
All right, show us. Oh, there it is. Let's give them all a big hand. You stay right there. Thank you very much. All right, so tell me what happened there in the group. Since I gave you the ball, were you the leader?
Probably by default, yes.
By default, because I gave it to you.
Correct.
All right, so did the team have any input?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me, how did you come up with the last idea?
We just all conversed and we said, okay, if I just hold the ball and everybody touches it, that's a pattern, and we all came together.
Exactly. So, did you have any arguments?
No.
Was everybody clear on what needed to be done?
Yes.
Okay, so how did you make that happen so quickly?
Because we all came together as a team.
Love it. Did everybody understand that? Excellent. Thank you very much. I get this. You get a book for being such a worthy little black book of connections. Do you guys understand how that communication works? Did you notice we gave them time to converse? We just didn't tell them I gave them the first cue of what had to happen, but did you notice that they did everything, and there were 10 of them. And you know what? Did any of you guys see a fight? Did you guys see an argument? Nothing? Wow, isn't that hard? So we have to look at that as our team. So that's a really simple task, right? Is that a really simple task? So in a plan, are tasks easy? Yes and no? So have you guys ever done, before I go too far into this, ever done a Six Sigma, Kaizen, lean manufacturing? Have any of you guys ever been part of that? Okay, so we won't go too deep into this, but the principle about developing an action plan is about bringing people together so that everybody can put their thoughts into the plan. So the easiest way that I've ever seen it done is we give everybody a bunch of Post-it notes, we put them in a room, and so we say, this is the end goal, and we work from the end backwards to see how it works, because everybody has good ideas. Because when we talk about action plans or systems or processes, here's what happens. Everybody here in this room, if I asked you to do something, you guys would all do it similar but not the same, because it's not written down. But when you bring everybody else together and devise an action plan, whatever it may be, then everybody has a clear understanding of what they need to do. My job is X, your job is Y, her job is A. And then we need to learn each other's jobs so that we do it exactly the same. So we did this with an accounting firm. And I don't know if you've ever worked with accountants. How many of you guys get your taxes done? Aren't they stimulating? I mean, come on, isn't that the most fun you guys can have for a day? You pay this guy to bore you to tears. But we worked on a system and process. We had 5 accountants in the room, and they all did the same thing 5 different ways. And their poor office staff, holy smokes, I was waiting for a burning at the stake at that office. But what we did is we developed a way that everybody sat down, and we developed a way. Everybody was doing it similar, but there were just enough things different that caused everybody else around them stress. Everybody else around them heartache, because some people didn't know what the other person was doing in front or behind them. So what we did is we laid it out. So my challenge to you is, what is your action plan? Have you developed one? How will you go about getting this information written down? Does that make sense to you guys? Excellent. All right. Number 5. This one is hard for everybody. Number 5 is support risk-taking. What does that mean to you? What is support risk-taking to you, sir? You've been quiet all day long. So we allow them to do it. Excellent, excellent. Well, if you allow them to do it, will you accept if they make a mistake? Excellent. So that is exactly it. Support risk-taking. How many of you guys have ever made a $2 mistake? How about a $20 mistake? Come on, how about a $200 mistake? How about a $2,000 mistake? How about a $200,000 mistake? How about a $2 million mistake? Boy, that was fun, wasn't it? Whew, you gotta look around. I'll tell you about my $2 billion mistake. You have to allow each of the people in your business to make some sort of mistake. My $2 million mistake was this. I was working on a pricing guide. I'd worked all night, 3 a.m. I had 2 spreadsheets. One had cost, one had sales pricing on it. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I was like, I'm done. I'm sending it off. And away it went. I sent all of our costing of our manufacturing facility directly to a customer. And then I went to bed. And then I woke up like an hour later and went, oh my God! And then the panic set in. And then the whole world came crashing down around me because it's 4 o'clock in the morning and nobody's out of bed. So, what I did is this. First phone call at 5 a.m. was to my CEO and president's phone. I just want you to know it's 5 a.m. and I did something really stupid and I sent our costing to a client and I'm taking care of it. I need to talk to you. Call me right away. Click. Second thing was it's my direct boss. Same message. Third message was I was waiting until Phil, that's his name, came in and I was like, I knew he'd be there at 6. So I took a shower. I went for a run, tried to take my hyperactivity down about 6 notches. Called him about 6:30. I said, hey, how's it going? Hey, I sent that over to you and I made a mistake. Phil's comment to me was, you mean that one with that pretty yellow pricing on it? And I could just see his face, and I was like, yep. And my words out of my mouth were, I know I sent it wrong to you. I'm not adjusting my price. I sent you the pricing on it. I'm sorry. So he was going to give me a $4 million order. He gave me a $2 million order because he saw the costing on the other products. So the day went by, I called my boss back, said, this is what happened. He's, of course, I got, you're stupid, you're dumb. Why would you do that? Why would you send anything at 3 o'clock in the morning? Well, I was trying to be efficient. I was trying to get it done. All day went by. All day went by, no phone call from Tom. None. 6 o'clock, the phone rings. And I've already called my wife and let her know I'm going to be fired today. I've already called all my friends and family. You got any jobs opening? Because I'm going to be fired today. And so Tom answers the phone and he goes, hi, Tom. And I'm just sitting there. I'm just waiting because I know that is a huge mistake. And he goes to me, so why is it you think you still have a job? Because you didn't call me till now? I mean, I was just thinking it was that late in the day. He said, nope. He goes, the reason you have a job today is because you called me first. You made a mistake. And you owned it, and you took care of it. Am I happy about it? No. But you called me first. So my point to that story is when you allow and support risk-taking, when somebody makes a mistake, they're not afraid to come to you and say, hey, here's what happened. And our first job is not to jump on top of it, to say, you did this wrong, and you did that wrong, and you did this wrong. Our first thing is, so how do we fix it? What's the solution? What is the solution? When you support risk-taking and you support your people, the questions that come out of your mouth after an error are the most critical things that you can ever say to anybody in the organization. Because if you come up with a problem that goes along with their problem, you're doing nothing but dogpiling on. And there's plenty of that. If you help them solve the problem, and the question I always ask people is this. And I coach hundreds of businesses in and around North Iowa with hundreds of teams. And when somebody comes to me with a problem, the first thing I ask them is this. So what do you think you need to do in order to fix this problem? Well, I don't know. But if you did know, what would you do? If you did know, what would you do? Because 9 out of 10 times, all of you will have the answer to the problem. You're just too afraid right now because you're stuck in fear because you've made an error. That will resolve the problem for you. What is it they can do? Does that make sense? Awesome, awesome. All right. This one right here gets everybody into trouble. Trouble. 100% inclusion. What does 100% inclusion mean to you? What's that? Yeah, what does that mean to you? Anybody want to help her? I will. Everyone. No matter who's on your team, I don't care if they're the IT guy, the janitor, we take out the trash together. We include everybody in our 6 steps. Why? Why is that we include them? Respect. We're a team. What else? That's it exactly. They have viewpoints that we don't have. Perspective. And it's really interesting. We always discount those people. And I say I'm included in that. Before I did this, I had the same thing. Well, what do they know? They're not in sales and consulting. I should have the answers. Wrong. Perspective is everything. How many of you guys have ever heard this? None of us are as smart as all of us combined. As you saw, as they were building the wheel and building the pattern, it changed 4 times. 4 times it changed. And it got better and better and better until the last one, it took them not even a second, split second. Because everybody has perspective. If we look at all of our people and say, okay, look at this idea, what's this? If we bring them into the action plan and they see a problem with it, they're not afraid to voice it up. But if we include everybody, then everybody wins. There's an old story that goes, some kids were down at NASA and they saw a janitor sweeping the floor and a kid walked up and goes, "Oh, you're a janitor?" He goes, "No, I helped put a man on the moon." It's all perspective, people. Because without him, they wouldn't have got the man on the moon that year. He did his part, so everybody does their part. So as I finish up today, those are my 6 keys. Those are things that I work on with teams in and out. So I will finish up with this. How many questions you guys have? Or do you have any questions that I can help you with right now? Any questions? Excellent. All right, so here's what I want you to do. Last thing, on your paper for a takeaway. What is your number 1 learning from today? And I want you to write it down. Take a look at your notes. Take thought pattern. What is your number 1 learning from today? All right, second thing I want you to write down. How are you going to use it? Write it down. How are you going to use it? And where? How are you going to use it and where? All right, everybody have something written down? Awesome. All right, I need 5 volunteers to come up here and write on the board their number 1 learning from today. You? All right, sir, come on up here. Write your tell everybody you're learning and then write it on the board, please. The line of decision. Love it. Please write it for us. Line of decision. And could you spell a word wrong to make us all feel better? Awesome. Better. Thank you. All right, number 2. He's already purposely spelled a word wrong. Nobody should be scared to come up here now. We have some OCD in the room, I see. All right, who wants to come up and write up their number 1 learning for the day? All right, come on, I'm going to start picking people. I will go back to the participation slide. There you go. See, look, it wasn't that bad. What was your learning? Write down your goals. Love it, love it, love it. All right, need another one. Oh, perfect. Love it. Formula for change. Awesome, thank you. 2 more. Oops, you can't keep the lid. Come on, who wants to do it? How about somebody on this side of the room? All right, we have a new volunteer. He's been shy all day long. What color would you like to use? Black. Awesome. What was your learning? Inclusion. Awesome, awesome. All right, I need one more. Come on, you can do it. One more. Oh, please, don't make me call on somebody. Oh, thank you very much for second time around. 5 levels of leadership. It's the nicest thing I've been called all day. Awesome. All right, how many of you guys had multiples of these on here? Did anybody else have these? Awesome. Well, I thank you so much for allowing me to speak today. I'll be in the back of the room if you guys have questions after the workshop. So thank you again, and I appreciate all of you very much.